of the things that I love about interviews like this, and it is when I really already have established bonds with certain guests. And I can't say that about everybody, but I can say with every guest I've had, I have felt some type of a connection. But today's guest, Tina Kadish, is somebody that I can say for nearly a year I have gotten to know her, and it is such an honor and a pleasure having her here on the Power Transformation Podcast. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you so much, Alethea. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're right, we've established a bond and we've gotten to know each other through our communities that we're part of. And yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you. It's so good having you. And as I told Tina a while back, I would have had her on the show a long time ago. I really thought that I had already interviewed her, but it was the other way around. Tina interviewed me on her show. And so when she brought it up, and I'm glad she mentioned, hey, I haven't been on your show, I said, oh my goodness, it was a huge oversight. And then I started thinking about other people that I thought I had on my show that I haven't, that I need to reach out to. But Tina has such an incredible story of transformation, particularly in the sector when it comes to careers and jobs. And I think that this type of interview is very, very timely, especially with a lot of people in our country right now going through a lot of economic changes, layoffs, transitions, or maybe not even being laid off. I know a lot of people who are in this season of reinvention. And so before we get started in diving into that, Tina, I just like to open up with a fun, lighthearted kind of a question. It is a bit career related, but when you were a little girl growing up, or maybe even a teenager, what was your fantasy job? What did you want to do when you grew up?
Okay, so you're going to love this. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, you would have, girl, I could see you would have been a fireball, a pistol, honey. Oh,
I'm a good debater. So, and yes, I wanted to be an attorney. But what I did was I became a legal secretary, worked in a law firm, and then wanted to be a paralegal. And then I changed my mind. I said, I'm not going to go through all this schooling to go for my legal profession. And I dropped out. But I think that lawyer um, personality is in me a little bit because I can see something and I'll debate it or, yeah. So that was what I wanted to do.
oh my gosh. I'm glad I asked that question because even as you're talking about it, I envision you in a courtroom or in a judge's chambers and you with your powerhouse suit on and having all your documentation and just even with the way that you look now with your haircut, your glasses, girl, you would have rocked that part. And this is how I am. I'm a dreamer, but I also take actions. I tell people until your last breath, your life isn't over. And you never know, Tina, how life could turn out. You might wake up one of these days and say, you know what? I want to go back to law school. And it could happen.
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know about that because it's like I am later in my life, like, whoa, I could
You
not
like,
deal with that. But I
I'm not
think I would have
trying
been
to
a
start over.
good prosecutor. See, I would have been a prosecutor.
Oh, yes. No way about it. That's I didn't want to say it, but I could tell you would have
Oh
been
yeah.
darn good at it too.
Oh yeah.
So, with that being said, I like how we started with that. But if a person were to ask you to describe yourself and ask you, who is Tina Kadish, what would you say to them?
All right. So I'm very driven and ambitious. I've always been the type of person that it's not enough. It's not enough. I got to do more. I got to do more. And I've always had that drive in me. And so people in my family have said, are you ever satisfied where you are? And I say, no, there's always more. There's always more to learn, to do, to be. And so when I look at my transitions, I look back and I'm like, wow, I've done a lot and I'm proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of it. I think we always need to, should, I don't want to use those words, but I invite people to really look at different things, do different things, not stay in one thing forever. But if they're happy, that's fine. I
Hmm.
just was always looking for more. That was
Yeah. And so it begs the question when you talk about transitions and things that kind of prepared you in life for other experiences that you would have, take us back to those early years in terms of your upbringing. Describe for us where you grew up, what you loved most about it, your background, but also in what way did your upbringing shape the way that you handled transitions in life?
Yes, that's a great question. So I grew up in an Italian immigrant family, the
Mhm.
oldest of three girls. My dad was a tailor. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad actually made clothing for us when we were little. And so he was very creative there. And very simple family. There was no money. It was just he worked hard, two jobs. And yeah, he worked two jobs and supported our family.
Hmm.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so it was very simple life. We didn't have the money to go on vacation. We didn't. It was always, my dad would always say, gotta save for a rainy day. Money, money is hard. And, I grew up in a scarcity of money family
Mm.
because it was always about fear. That's the kind of family I grew up with. So I always worried about money. So that lack of money was instilled in our family, wasn't good. So I've had to really shift my mindset from scarcity to abundance to really believe that money was available. Because he would always say the rich get richer and money is the root of all evil. All of that. That's what we grew up in
Wow.
thinking,
Hmm.
and it's not true, but that's what I grew up with. So yeah, it was all through my life, my adult life. When I got married to my first husband, raised my two kids, was always about scarcity.
I am glad that you answered it like that. I wasn't expecting that answer because usually people will talk about, oh, my upbringing prepped me for transitions because, but I like this difference of perspective because I think that it causes me as well as others to really think about how are you thinking and that whether it's on the more positive end or the spectrum or the not so positive end, the way that we think shapes our life. And so, out of curiosity, Tina, how did you shift from this scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset, which has caused you to thrive in various aspects of your life, even beyond money? Because the money will come, but sometimes when we think about abundance, it's that default for money, but abundance can also come in other ways.
Yes. So I really, I was always someone that wanted to learn. Reading was something I've always loved to do. I was always reading, always wanting to learn. And I think for me, what shifted was because I was surrounding myself with positive people. I had to really get away from the fear. And even to this day, my dad is 91. He's never going to change.
Hmm.
Always with that rainy day syndrome. Okay. It's always
Hmm.
that. And so I've had to like really put myself in circles of positivity and growth, and it's so great to surround myself because I was always ambitious and always wanted more, always wanted to learn more and be better. Because when I, finished high school, I didn't go to college. I went to business school. Back in the day, there was a school called
Hmm.
Catherine Gibbs. Graduated from there. It was a one-year program. I became a secretary back in the day. Learned stenography. Wow, I'm aging myself. And so
It's all right.
I did, and I loved it. I wanted to be a secretary. But then when I reached at the top, like I was making good money and I wasn't happy, I said, I want to go to college. And because I thought that you need a college degree to further myself. And when I got turned down for a promotion because I didn't have a degree, because a degree shows commitment, and I didn't have a degree, that propelled me to go and get my college degree. I enrolled in a weekend program with two kids, 6 and 1 year old, married, working full time, because Tina has to do things the hard way.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
didn't do it when I got out of high school because I wasn't ready, but I did it as an adult and I loved it. I loved the school. I went on weekends. It took me 6 years to get my college degree in
Mhm.
business, but I did it. It was a big goal of mine because I had reached the top of a secretary and I just wasn't happy anymore. And I am so glad I did that because my whole family thought I was crazy. You don't need to go to school. You have kids. You're married. What are you going to do?
Mhm.
And I said, no, I want something more. And thank God I did, Alethea, because that just opened the doors to other
Yeah.
things. It really did.
And take us through what that actually looks like. And what I'm doing is building upon this to really hone in the point that we really want to make. But how did that look like? Because that interests me, but I want to give our audience, our listeners or viewers, more context behind it. How did it look like navigating a husband, children, family life, work, and school, which took you, as you said, 6 years? But although every day wasn't standard, in an overview, overall, how did that look? How in the world, Tina, were you able to do that?
Managing my time
Mm.
effectively, discipline, having a support system because my mom took care of my kids while I was
Oh,
in school. So you have to have the discipline. You got to have support, okay, to do it. Because if I didn't have my parents to help me, because my husband at the time was working full time, 7 days a week. He was always working. He was in construction. And then he
mhm,
had a part-time job on the weekends. So I was pretty much on my own with my kids and managing a household. And so I was really disciplined, but I had that vision. See, back then, even and today, having that vision of where I saw myself. I
mhm,
saw myself graduating, finishing school. And mind you, I
mhm.
had never been to college. I just started for the first time writing a research paper.
Mm.
All right. And back in the day, it wasn't a computer. I was going to a library and researching how to write a paper. And I had
Uh-huh.
no clue how to write a paper.
Yeah, I'm probably that last generation that actually remembers physical card catalogs that you had to pull
Yes,
out and look and had
that's
to
what I
go
did.
to a librarian to ask for help as opposed to typing it in. I'm that last generation that
Oh,
really remembers that.
okay.
So
That's what I
even with
did.
you talking about typing and all of that, yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was a challenge, but because I had that vision in front of me. I had that discipline, managing my time. Every minute was accounted for. Like if something fell apart, it would throw me off because I had homework and I was going
Mhm.
in the summer as well.
Oh, wow.
3 semesters.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And even thinking about summer, Tina, is although you were working on that, your kids still had to find ways to enjoy their summers. So you're still navigating all this. And so as a woman, especially women, where and men, I don't need y'all getting upset when I say this because you all do a lot too, but women juggle a lot. I'm not a wife, I'm not a mom, Buddy, my cat. That's as far as I have it in terms of being a mom. But I share this because even my mom has told me over the years, and not to say men don't, but mom says, especially when you're a wife and a mom, you make a lot of sacrifices, a
Oh,
lot
yes.
more
Amen.
sacrifices as a woman and as a wife. You just simply do. And so, with that being said, Tina, I want to kind of jump around some to a point that leads us to talking about just very briefly. Tell us what you do now. Avoid getting into how you got there, but if you could describe to people your professional role now, tell us what you do.
Okay, so I've evolved into a business coach
Mhm.
and an author, and I empower women. So I work with women over 50 who have retired, who've been laid off, let go, and they're looking for a career change. They're tired of where they may be or looking for the next chapter. They want to transition. And I help them not only to get clarity in that direction, but I help them to create a business because most of the women want to start a business, but they have no clue how to start a business because that was me back in the day
Mm,
when I wanted to as well. And so now today, I help them to go from that clarity. They have this idea, or maybe they don't even have an idea. They're just like, Tina, I don't know what I want to do. I'm bored. I want something and I just don't have any idea. So I help them find their passion. I really help them to find their why and really tapping into first doing the inner work with them
hmm.
and then stepping into perhaps a business,
Wow.
as well. If that's the choice that they want, if that's a path, because, my background, one of my things is I was a recruiter. So I can help individuals
Hmm.
find jobs if that's what their path is.
So hearing all of that, Tina, it sounds just from my ears that you decided after all of your extensive career, you said, hey, let me go ahead and make the moves to quit my job so I can start this business because this is what I want to do. Is there validity in that, or did you not exactly say, hey, let me quit my job altogether and do this? In other words, Tina, what in the world led you down this path? Take us there.
All right, interesting. So yes, so my career started, I mean, my aspirations for an entrepreneur began when I got laid off. But so fast forward, uh,
You were late. Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a
yes,
minute.
I was
You
laid off.
you said something key. Okay, what kind of work were you doing now
Okay.
to lead you to being laid off? Because there's a difference between quitting or resigning versus getting laid off. So, what was your career path after college? And if you were doing this for so long, what caused that layoff? Did you
Hmm.
see it coming? All of that.
No, I didn't see it coming. So I was laid off from a training and development profession that I was in because I went into training and development, worked for this company for 9 years, loved training. And to this day, this is why I love speaking
Mhm.
because I've always done training. And so when I got laid off, 3 months before getting laid off, I got promoted to an area trainer for the whole Northeast, Northeast, that I was going to be doing online training, in-person training. And then I got laid off 3 months. They eliminated the whole training department. And I was working in New York City. And I survived 9/11 because I was supposed to be in the Twin Towers on 9/11.
No way.
Yes, I was. And that
Oh my.
one of the buildings, one of the companies that I had to go and visit that day, they were on the level where the planes went through the buildings. I was supposed
Oh
to.
my. Wait a minute.
Oh
You
yeah, I never told you this story.
No, you never told me this. Hold on. Just
Yeah,
briefly pause. You were supposed to go in the World Trade Center. I just had another guest not long ago who had a similar story about 911, and Zoom has this little thumbs up
I
feature that
know.
I forgot. But so you were supposed to train that day.
Yes. Yes. And I called them the day before and I said, I can't come in tomorrow because I'm too swamped. Let's do it for the day after. And they said, okay. So I was meant to not be in those buildings on 9/11. And at the time, I was divorced. I had two kids. I was a single mom at the time that would have occurred. All right. And so that was in 2001. And then in 2003, I got laid off. So 2 years later, I get laid off from that same position. And so, I firmly believe that we are meant to do what we're meant to do. Things happen for a reason. I do believe that things happen for a reason. I do. And so being laid off was the first time that I felt out of control because there was so much uncertainty. I didn't know what to do next. I really didn't know. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And this is
Mhm.
where clarity today, I help you to find clarity is because I started networking and I started to say, okay, what do I do now? Because I can't travel as a trainer. I need stable employment. I got a package and I took some time off to really figure things out. And I recommend people, if they can, network, really do the inner work to figure out what you want to do before you step into something. And so I learned of a tool that I today help women find their passions. And I got certified in this tool called the Passion Test. And
Hmm.
this tool is what I really resonated with me because I learned I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to help other women find their passion. So I was passionate about that myself. And that's really where the bug of freedom that I wrote my first book about is finding that freedom in our life because we need to really stepping into our purpose and live life with passion because that was totally scary when I got laid off
Mm.
because I was out of control. I didn't make the decision. The decision was made for me.
Exactly.
That's the difference,
Exactly.
you know.
How did you find, although you talk about networking and things like that, people use that word very loosely nowadays? I'm not talking about you, but the reason I bring this up is just very briefly. I can honestly tell you, with me having had an education career for 20 years,
Mhm,
despite having multiple roles beyond classroom teaching, mainly being in leadership, I can say that educators as a whole, and I have some former colleagues that listen to this podcast and watch it as well as others, but I can say from experience, despite the fact that I had entrepreneurial experience part time during those years, my main career was education, and educators are really in a bubble. They're really in a bubble.
yes.
And it wasn't until I shifted into full time entrepreneurship that I really learned the true art of networking.
Yes.
Thankfully, from my former business coach, who used to be a former educator, now coaches in careers and all that, he really started to give me the foundations of true networking. So I
Mhm,
share that experience in that if I didn't really know the full extent of networking, I know that there are other people in other fields that may not necessarily know the art. How did you learn, Tina, how to really get on your A game when
mhm.
it came to networking and finding clarity in that?
So yeah, I mean, what I did was I started searching online, and I wanted to find some groups. I was fascinated with the law of attraction. That
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to manifest what I desired, and I didn't know what that was yet. So networking, meeting people in person back then, this was pre-pandemic. I just started to meet different people, and there is an art to it because you want to find the right community.
Mm-hmm.
This was a community that was like-minded individuals of everybody was fascinated with the law of attraction. So this was actually the law of attraction networking group.
Oh,
And yeah, it was very specialized. And I went on meetup.com, which is a
yes.
platform that you
Meetup.
can find, Meetup. And
I
I
remember
found
that.
this, a Meetup, yes. And I've actually gone to some events with Meetup. And it's so great to find the interests that is aligned with you. And that was what I was interested in at the time. And so this woman who was running the group told me about this tool. And we were talking about money, scare, like we were talking about money, how to bring more money into our life. And I started really learning about manifesting and how we can bring in, what we want. And so that was very I was very targeted in what I was looking for. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. I think it's very you want to be clear, like what is the right community to be in? Do your research,
Mm-hmm.
surround yourself in the right communities with the right community leaders, that bring value to you, that it's not just a networking, but where you can learn as well. Because I really believe that we should find groups where we can learn as well as meet new people. I met you through networking
Mm-hmm.
community. That's how we met. And I've
That's
met so
true.
many great people. And so I think that's really so important to not isolate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there and meet people.
And I think that's important even for women to do that. And that's your specialty area. And so with
Yes.
this networking, I was even ignorant to the fact, and it just goes to show how much I grew. I was ignorant to the fact as to how powerful networking groups are, because I could get bombarded with this person and that person inviting me to this group and that group. And you're right, you want to find the right group. I say find your tribe, and
Yes.
you want to make sure of that. And so, with that being said, Tina, what led you? Because you have your own tribe in terms of an extension of what you do, but your job hunting, your networking, did it happen where you ended up getting another full-time job, or did you say, let me shift into this? So, how did the creation of you saying, I'm created at this season of my life to be a business coach for women, what was that journey like? How did it happen?
Yes. So I started my business part time. And because I needed to make an income. And because
Hmm.
when I was laid off and I took some time off, like I said, because of fear, and I didn't believe in myself that I could run a business just helping women find their passion, I took a job and I went back to a job as a recruiter. So I did recruiting for 11 years while
Oh.
building my business part time. And so, how I evolved as a business coach is because as I was helping women find their passion, most of them wanted to start a business, and I didn't have any idea how to help them. And I would refer them to business coaches. So what I said was, I think I want to learn how to be a business coach. What's involved in being a business coach, running a business? What do you need to do? And so I worked with the coach. So finding coaches, finding the people to help you on your journey. And so I added business coaching in my business, but I was still doing it part time because that head trash that we have, never enough time, I mean, never the right time. I'm not going to make the money because that mindset was creeping in.
Hmm.
Okay, I can't do this. How am I going to do this? How am I going to replace my income? All of these thoughts that go into my head. So I was running my business part time while working as a recruiter. Didn't enjoy recruiting. I was good at it, but I didn't enjoy it.
Interesting.
I didn't
Oh,
enjoy it. I was good at it whatever I do, I put my the best in, and I was a
yeah.
great recruiter. But in 2018, I got fired from the job.
Oh.
11 years, and I'll tell you why. I had never been fired, but it was the best day ever because they knew I was running a business part time. They felt I wasn't committed. And they had no proof I wasn't committed because I was always working great for them. I had high performance reviews, but because I voiced my opinion about a policy that I didn't agree with,
Hmm.
they didn't like that. And so 4 months later, they let me go. And it was the best day because why? Because God pushed me, I'm a
Hmm.
believer,
Yes, me too.
into stop making excuses, Tina. You're ready. You can do it. You just need to be pushed because sometimes we need to be pushed. And I was pushed. And thank God I was because I am not going to a job. I am an entrepreneur full time, helping women. And, through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, it's not
Yes,
easy,
goodness.
not
Mm-mm.
easy. But I love it because I have the freedom to choose who I want to be with. I have the freedom to get on podcasts. I wrote 2 books. You're able to do things that really fuel you. So
Hmm.
that's why today I'm happy to say it'll be 7 years in July that I'm an entrepreneur full time.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Congratulations to you,
Thank
Tina,
you.
because you have beat those stats. I don't remember it right off of the top of my head, but it's something like between, if a business still exists over a certain amount of years,
Yes.
it's either 5 or 7 years, but
Yeah.
pretty much
Yes.
if you can get over that threshold, then you
Yes.
will be successful. And
Yes.
that is very, very good. And I'm very proud of you for
Thank
that, is that, you are building. And thank you for mentioning the ups and downs of entrepreneurship,
you.
because although we speak, although we write, although we do so much, even the most, even the 7, 8, the 6, 7, 8, 9 figure earners go through challenges. I've known multimillionaires who've lost everything and have had to
Yes,
start over. And it's not to speak anything on anyone's life, but I say that to say, especially to encourage the entrepreneur up there who may be surrounded by the six figure or the seven figure, the eight or the nine, and think, oh my goodness, what am I not doing right? Our lives, in terms of entrepreneurs as a whole, regardless of incomes, our lives as entrepreneurs and as people can change like that. So if you're an entrepreneur not earning what you want to just yet, your life could change overnight. Sometimes it just takes the one right person or the one right contact. And then on the flip side, so I think it's a balance there. And Tina, in the way that you coach, although I personally haven't been coached by you, I see your work, I see what you do, and you have a spirit about you that really instills the fortitude and the determination in women to say, I can really do that.
yes.
How did you come about having a gift where you just pour into them so much where they end up believing no doubt in themselves? Or is that just something that comes naturally for you?
It's come naturally to me. I have that ability to be empathetic with people.
Mm,
Tend to connect. Like there's a woman recently that I've known for about a year now, and she's not ready to work with me. She's not ready, and and that's okay. But nurturing relationships is important. And so now we've gone beyond to now we're getting together for coffee to learn about each other on a deeper level. And
mhm.
maybe one day she could be a client of mine, but right now she's not ready to start a business. I mean, she has a business, she's a business owner, but she has the passion to be a life coach.
Oh,
She's a single mom and raising a grandson and doesn't have the flexibility right now to go and do something else because she's running a business already and has to
mhm,
be relying on her business. And so, but she has a passion to be something else.
mhm.
And I could help her with that, but now is not the time. So it's important to care about the people, but I'm not saying to become a therapist. I'm not a therapist. I don't, pretend to be, but I want to help them. And if I could come from an empathetic, really coming from that inner, way to do it, one of the things that I'm looking into as I'm evolving is human design.
Oh, yes. Human
And
yeah.
yeah, so I'm looking into that right now. It's something I'm in pursuit of that I want to maybe add to my business. Why are people designed the way they are?
Mhm.
Okay. And I learned about myself through human design. I'm a manifester. I
Yeah.
manifest things. I bring things in. I like to create things, which I never thought I would be. I never
Mhm.
thought I'd be an author. That just like came to me because I wanted to be a speaker, a public speaker.
Mhm.
So I go after something if I want it and I'm driven and determined.
Me too.
Like
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
don't stop me. Like if people tell me you can't, I'll say, really? I'll show you how I can. I've always
Mm.
had that. I've always had that innate ability. Like I couldn't go
Yeah.
to college, I did, and things like that. I went through a divorce, lost a job, lost a child. Resiliency, which you're,
Mhm.
an expert at, is being
Mhm.
resilient in life, being resilient in our businesses.
Yes, and even Tina, with everything going on with the losses that you've had throughout your life, you've just continued to birth things. I think everything has its balance where if there's death, there's going to be life, and that can be literal or metaphorical. And so even with you birthing books and becoming who you are now as a business coach, and I know that in terms of this woman that you are today, um, I won't go into depth talking about it, but I'll mention this: when one of your children passed, you still continue to move ahead and to move forward. And the published author aspect of your entrepreneurial journey, without going into depth about the actual books, but what led you to say, I want to be an author? And also, how can people go about getting your books?
Okay, great question. Yes, I decided to be an author when I went on a conference and it was all authors, and I was the only one that wasn't an author. And I went to this conference
Mm.
because it was for it was how to be a public speaker. But everybody on the in this conference was an author. And I wanted to speak on this in this conference. And they said you have to be an author in order to speak.
Mm.
I said, okay, I'll write a book. Had no idea what the book was going to be about. But then we were doing this exercise and the word freedom came to mind. And it was really everything I've been working towards, helping women find freedom. And then I created the acronym, the 7 steps to thrive in life and business, from the word freedom. And I'm happy I did that, because now through that book, it's an opener to get opportunities to speak, and it gave me more credibility. But the answer to your question, they can go on my website, www.fromjobtojoy.com. My books are there. They're available for purchase through Amazon. But it's a way to convey my story, because I talk about my 9/11 story, my laid off, my money challenges, that scarcity mindset. I go through all of that. And that's really one of my signature programs, is helping you to overcome those barriers
Mhm.
that keep us from moving forward.
The barriers that keep us from moving forward. For a woman who comes to you saying, hey, I need your help because I want to do this, but I don't know how to get there. So, say if someone's listening or watching this and she's a woman and may have this barrier of being stuck to say, I've always been curious as to how to start a business, but there's no way that I'm going to be able to because I have this and that. How do you begin to instill in someone that they too have the power and the ability to transform their lives and to reinvent themselves? How do you even start that? What do you say to them?
So what I do is we go through a process of identifying their why, knowing, why do they like, what do they desire, what do they want to bring into their life, what are their strengths, what are their values. We go through a whole exercise of, your limiting beliefs. That's
Hmm.
doing the inner work, like helping you to overcome your limiting beliefs. Like, what are stopping you? What is, like, for example, I do an exercise around fear. What is the fear? Let's identify the fear. Why do you have this fear? And let's get deep in it. And I keep asking questions. So it's through a process of asking questions to really, it's removing the layers of an onion to getting to the real reason that's stopping them, and I work with their mindset, like what's going on, and I work with them through, there's 2 types of mindset, and we go through that together. So it's
Hmm.
really uncovering the inside of what is stopping them. Like me with money scarcity, going deep in that. And this is true with a lot of people. The imposter syndrome, a lot of people just don't believe that they're good enough to do it.
Hmm.
So I help them to uncover that. Why do you feel that? Where's that coming from? When
Mm.
do you believe that started? Because I know for me, it started in, adolescence, growing up with that in my family. I never felt good
Yeah.
enough. I never felt that I was valuable. So it's really, really getting deep into that process.
And so, Tina, in terms of the way that you coach, while here you are coaching so many women to get to this level of job to joy and freedom and all of this, how do you make sure that you are keeping your mindset strong? How are you maintaining your resilience and pushing towards your next goal in spite of life continuing to happen? Because it's easy to throw in the towel. And so, how do you make sure, because coaches also need to either have a coach or to coach ourselves too, because we're always pouring into everyone else. But how do you do that for Tina? How does Tina coach Tina?
Okay, so really, yeah, and I work with coaches. I'm in other communities where I'm learning. Okay. And that's what keeps me going. What keeps me going, coaching teen, is my faith that I just keep believe
Mm,
in myself. And I know that I'm valuable. But there are days that I don't feel good about myself. I'm like,
mm,
okay, this ain't working. Why is this not working? So I go through this evaluation process. Let me evaluate, what am I learning from this? Why is this not working? Where do I need to pivot, and shift? So I'm always asking myself questions as well. So I'm evaluating. I do an assessment with
mhm,
myself. Like now we're wrapping up first quarter. I'm looking back. Okay, what did I accomplish in first quarter? What do I need to do for second quarter? So I'm always looking at, okay, how can I be better, improve? Ideas that come in, like, the human design was an idea that, meeting other women that do it, and being a participant of it myself, I was like, oh, this sounds fascinating.
mm.
Okay, so the continuous learning, the continuous reading, we need to always improve our craft. So always reading books that are aligned. Like, what do we need? Like,
Yes.
there's so many books. I always have multiple books that I'm reading that I haven't read yet that I'm going to buy. I'm a book junkie, all right, and I love it. And that's how I keep myself, how I coach myself, because I spend time in reading, I spend time in journaling, I pray every day. So I go through a process of that. So that's how I fuel myself
Mhm,
when I'm feeling down. And it's okay to take a pause.
mhm.
If something is not going well, not working, take a pause,
That's
take a
right.
take a break. And that's what I also love about freedom, because we have the freedom to step away
Mhm.
and do a
Indeed.
10-minute, do a 10-minute, 5-minute breathe, just breathe, meditate, whatever you got to do to get
Mm.
yourself back in the zone.
Wow.
Yeah.
In reflecting on your entire life up until this point, from childhood, but also more importantly, with all of these shakes and shifts in your life, thinking about who you are this day and the woman that you have evolved to become, what surprises you the most about yourself, Tina?
Okay. That I have actually survived
Mm.
everything. And especially with the loss of my daughter was the biggest,
Mm.
most difficult time in my life. And to get through that, my view today is I can get through anything. I do. I really believe that I will get through it, because here's the choice we have. And this came to me, surrendering and trusting. Those are two words that today we cannot control things. We have to go with the flow, surrender, and trust the process. So we can either take the bitter road and be angry and blame and
Mhm.
be miserable, or we can be better. So I decide to be better, and I decide that I want to leave a legacy. Like, what's my legacy after I'm gone?
Mhm.
And I feel that my books are part of my legacy, sharing my story with the loss of my daughter. And how can I help other moms today and dads who have lost a loved one?
Mhm.
So I think I've become also more compassionate
Mhm.
and living in the present moment and
Yeah.
grateful.
Wow.
Those are the things that I've learned to be more of with this experience, because it shook me at the core. It
Of
really did.
course.
It did. It was just like, wow, God, I
Mhm.
can't believe this is happening right now. Like, if you had a crystal ball years ago that this was going to happen, it was like, whoa, gosh, what's next?
Mhm.
Well, whatever
Mhm.
is next, I know that I'll get through it. Don't know how, but I know I will,
Yeah.
because I have a choice. I can either leave this earth or not. And I
Mhm.
decide to stay because there's more to do. I believe that there's more to do, where I need to be here. I have a family, I have a son.
Mhm.
I want to be here. And I know
Mhm.
that one day I'll be with my daughter and we're going to be having fun.
That's right.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
believe that. I believe that. Yeah.
And that is definitely a true testament of not just bouncing back, but soaring beyond what people could have put on you as limitations. And I'm just even glad that you said what you did, because if you didn't say it, I was even going to say that, although that hurt and pain for your daughter is great, it's just so honorable how you still continue to be there and show up for your son, because you're still a mom.
Yes.
Even with your daughter having transitioned, you are still a mom, and to still physically be there for your son is quite commendable. And, I wasn't even going to go there, but I thank you for sharing that, because there could be somebody out there right now who is listening or watching and could be going through a dark moment and not speaking about it, or not certain of how they can continue thriving. And I remember you even telling me one time, because I just asked you in conversation, but how you said that your daughter really would have been like a cheerleader and really amazed at what you are doing now. And so, even with that, people, everybody, we all go through something. That's just part of being a human being, but it's how we come out on the other side. And Tina, you are doing that for your guests and are showing up in their lives in extraordinary ways. And so I'll just end this with what's next for you in terms of your own personal growth and development? What does that next version of Tina look like?
I think the next version is that I really want to step on more stages and speak and sharing my story, whether it's on grief, whether it's on career. And I need to really step that up.
Mhm.
And so, I'm going to be learning more about that this year and really improving my craft in speaking, because I really love speaking on
Mhm.
stage. It gives me such an energy, and I really love connecting with the audience. So I think that for me is my next personal growth.
And I'm going to speak this into your life for you, Tina. And I have not even talked about this, but not only getting on stages, but also earning revenue or from it somehow, whether it's you
Yes.
making income from what you sell from the stage, or you saying, this is my fee, this is what I get paid. So
Yes.
may your stage opportunities bring you financial abundance and wealth. And I say that to anybody. I don't know, y'all. Look, I don't know Tina's income. I don't ask questions like those. She could already be a 9-figure earner. It doesn't matter. No matter what you earn, money itself is not bad. It is necessary, and we need it, and it creates opportunities. So I'm
It does.
speaking that upon your life, my friend. I love you.
Love
Thank
you
you
too.
so much for gracing us with your presence here on the Power Transformation Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Alethea, so much. I'm very grateful to you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.